especially in this matchup against Seattle. As the Sparks win the tip, and Parker immediately fires a fastball down the floor, but the jumper no good for Nneka Ogwumike. And here comes Seattle. Crowd will stand here until the first bucket from the Sparks. A reminder that this is a single elimination playoff game. Winner moves on, loser goes home.
You see defensively to start this game, Tiara Ruffin-Pratt was on Jordan Canada. That was a matchup that really worked in LA's favor the last time these teams met.
Aquana Williams called for the reach, and Natasha Howard is going to go to the line to shoot two. During the regular season, LA won 2 of the 3 matchups, including a lopsided victory on September 5th here at Staples Center, a 102-68 win. That margin of defeat was actually the largest in the franchise history of the Seattle Storm.
And in that game, LA was outstanding in scoring in the paint. They got out in transition, beat Seattle down the floor off the pick and roll. Their bigs were able to convert inside. That's one of the big keys for Seattle in this game, is limiting LA's paint points.
We saw Derek Fisher in his first year as head coach of the Sparks. Finally has a full complement of talent at his disposal. That just occurred the final 7 games of the season. Williams in the corner on a 3, and the crowd can sit here at Staples.
Great extra pass by Candace Parker to get the ball to the corner.
Nice cut from Clark. She can't put it in. Rebound goes off the foot of Canada. Los Angeles basketball.
Pick and roll situation. Seattle switching. They get the ball inside. So the double has to come. Extra pass. Great job by Candace Parker to recognize that she has someone running at her and that her teammate in the corner is open.
Williams shot it at 39% from 3 this season. And after she entered the starting lineup, LA was 11-3. Here comes Clark. A key piece of the Storm championship squad a year ago, who's only improved this season. Canada, nice cut off the ball, just couldn't finish it. And the rebound scraped up inside, and a foul against Mercedes Russell as Williams took the contact. Let's check in with Holly Rowe.
Well, guys, you're seeing something develop early in this game that Derek Fisher told us about for the LA Sparks, is that Chelsea Gray absorbed so much attention defensively, their point guard, that he wanted to have other people bring the ball up. In the last 2 possessions, we see Tiara Ruffin-Pratt bringing the ball up for LA. Candace Parker can handle the ball. Multiple players can bring that ball up the floor so that all 5 sets of defensive player eyes are not constantly on Gray to wear her out through the course of this game. Gives her a breather mentally, physically throughout the course of the game and allows her to get in some different sets.
And Holly, that's what they did in their last matchup with this team. And in particular, they don't want the player that Jordan Canada is guarding to be the one who brings the ball up the floor. She led the league in steals per game.
And was first team all defense as she hooks that in with the left hand. Canada coming off the career high 26 points in Seattle's round 1 win over Minnesota. Russell did a nice job hanging with Parker. Here is Gray. Around the Ogwumike screen, gets it to her on the roll, and a nice defensive stop from Jewell Loyd. That last hit Ogwumike. It's Seattle ball. One of the things we've seen is when Jewell Loyd is on the floor in these matchups against LA, Seattle's played well. They're plus 4.3 points per game with Loyd on the floor, a minus 11 per game when she's off in this particular matchup. Parker bounces. Good movement again, but Seattle gets back nicely. Gray is going to take and misfire. A ton of good looks early for LA against the Seattle D. Nice drop off there, and Russell just couldn't finish. Scramble on the floor, and a jump ball is called between Ruffin-Pratt and Howard.
I think Jordan Canada so far in this game has had really nice balance of when to look for her own, and then that was a great pass that she just gave to Russell. Russell's got to finish that whether or not she thinks she gets hit.
Huge growth for Jordan Canada this year, who started 29 games with veteran all-world point guard Sue Bird missing the entire season. Canada's jumper, a little too strong. Gray the rebound. Here's Williams, right through traffic and blew the bunny. Canada has exceptional speed. Here's Howard, a quick spin, nice pivot, and a beautiful footwork.
I mean, most players don't have the ability to go in at that rate of quickness, and they get the defender to blow by as you do a spin to the basket.
LA has missed its last 5 shots. And it's going to be a defensive 3 seconds against Seattle. You know, Rebecca, one of the things that Dan Hughes, head coach of Seattle, told us as we see another look at that Natasha Howard bucket, he said that last matchup in which LA just dominated Seattle, he felt like he couldn't even assess his half-court defense against them because they were just beat so badly, so consistently in transition. So far, it's early, but Seattle's been able to get back and set up their defense.
Yeah, he said, you know, we weren't even close to the best version of ourselves. It was their 3rd game in 5 days on a long road trip. And they have to feel pretty good so far about how they've started this one defensively.
Ogwumike off the dime from Gray and Parker there for the follow. First bucket of the game for Candace Parker as Canada blazes in for 2. No doubt, Sue Bird proud of the way that the second-year point guard Canada has continued to mature. As Gray throws it away to Howard, this year's Defensive Player of the Year. Natasha Howard bullies in. A lot of contact, no whistle. And again, Seattle back in transition. Gray wanted it, wasn't there. Parker sort of awkwardly gets it over to Ruffin Pratt, who rattles in a 3.
And that's a bonus for LA. Ruffin Pratt is out there because she's a terrific defender. If she can consistently hit shots, or even occasionally hit shots from the perimeter, that's a bonus for Los Angeles.
Clark in and out. Here is Parker. This is what she can do. Take it coast to coast. She does. All of a sudden, the game picking up tempo. Canada flips it up and in, plus the foul.
So Canada has shown flashes of brilliance this season, and when she can consistently do it in games that matter, she can be special. And this, I know it's only 1 quarter in, but she's been consistent throughout the course of the playoffs so far. What a finish.
Midway through the first quarter, this single elimination second round game between the Storm and the Sparks. The Sparks taking the season series, including a couple of emphatic wins, their final 2 meetings. So far, tight game early, 11-10. LA lead as Holly Rowe caught up with Storm star Jewell Loyd moments ago.
Jewell, your last matchup against LA was not the best. It was one of the worst in Storm history, but this feels different. Why?
Well, it's playoffs, and we know we didn't play well the last 2 times, and we want to come out and be aggressive and just be active. I think we're our best when we're active.
I see that on defense the most right now, making it difficult for the Sparks to get shots. What's working there?
Communicating on the mismatches. We know we got to pick up Parker. We're trying to get people back. We know that they like to push, so as long as we're active hands, we should get some stops.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Well, Rebecca, I know one of the things that you were honing in on was how is Seattle going to adjust to the pick and roll, because LA really burned them last meeting.
Well, last meeting, LA had 74 points in the paint. Yes, a lot were in transition, but some were in the pick and roll as well. We'll see what they do here. But so far in this game, when it's been a big pick and roll, they've switched. In other situations, they forced the guard down. And Dan Hughes said, because of the way they manhandled us in the paint last time we played, our priority is limiting those. So if they're going to give up some shots to the guards on the perimeter, fine. But their priority is defending that paint.
74 points in the paint, as Rebecca mentioned last time. In the meeting between these two teams, that was second most all-time in WNBA history. Phoenix had 78 in a game against Minnesota in 2010. Gray left it short. Clark the rebound. Here is Howard. Slickly into the lane and doesn't get the roll. Parker looking to flag it down, but Russell does instead. Floyd, no look. Canada goes cross court to Howard on a three. And how about the start for the Seattle Storm?
And a little thing, but the screen set by Mercedes Russell on the big on the block gave Howard the time to get that release off from the corner.
More pressure D from Seattle. Gray with the shot clock fading. Difficult look, couldn't hit it. And there have just not been a lot of clean looks for Los Angeles in this first quarter.
Mostly because Seattle's scoring, which is allowing them to set up their defense on the other end.
Just like that. Nice pick and roll, Lloyd and Howard. And Howard, who is held to just 2 points in the first round win, has 9 already in this first. A 7-0 Seattle run. Parker looking to end it. And Howard the rebound. Down court, she throws it away. And a little ambitious on the delivery from Howard.
Nothing will show up in the stat sheet for Mercedes Russell from the next 2 plays, but you see her get this rebound. I guess this one shows up in the stat sheet. Getting the offensive board, and then it's followed by her. But right before Natasha Howard caught the ball, Mercedes Russell screening off Candace Parker inside. She's as responsible for those 3 points as Howard is.
Sydney Weiss out there with Chiney Ogwumike, Nneka Ogwumike, Sierra Ruffin-Pratt, and Chelsea Gray, as Candace Parker goes to the bench. Weiss has been, in Derek Fisher's words, invaluable this season for L.A. Nneka got hit there, no call, and now a shot clock violation. Derek Fisher very upset. You could say that Nneka actually was halted mid-possession after looked like she took a hand to the eye.
Of course, that's frustrating. You gotta keep playing. You gotta keep playing until you hear the whistle. It's a lot easier to be said by the person who didn't just have her face hit.
You know, I'm going to poke you in the eye, see how your broadcast goes.
Exactly right.
Howard, another good look from 3, and another splash. The Seattle Storm on a 10-0 run. A 7-point first quarter lead. Ogwumike gets fouled, and if that's on Howard, and I believe it is, it's going to be number 2 on Natasha Howard. They may call it on Russell.
Jordan Canada engages the help defender by getting a foot near the paint, delivers perfectly. Nice team basketball.
They do call that foul on Natasha Howard. That is her second. This is the YouTube TV Try It free throw. Watch WNBA games and 70-plus live channels when you try YouTube TV for free at tv.youtube.com.
Now Howard goes out of the game, and she's been such a huge part of what Seattle has been doing on both ends of the floor. Can LA capitalize these last 2.5 minutes of the quarter?
Howard scored the last 8. Those free throws end a 10-0 run. Elena Beard, the all-world defender who's been banged up for much of the season, on the floor for Los Angeles. Nice hands from Ogwumike. Russell able to flag it back down and push it over to Canada. 5 to shoot. Canada's jumper, no good. Inside, Clark lays it in, plus the foul.
The hustle being shown all over the floor by the Seattle Storm is impressive. And while Mercedes Russell got the ball knocked out of her hands to stay with it.
Now they're going to call that foul on the floor and not count the bucket for Clark. They'll say the wrap was on the floor before the putback, so side out of bounds for Seattle. Veteran Crystal Langhorne will take. Rebound Gray. 1 minute and 45 seconds remaining first quarter. Gray goes to the corner for Weiss. She got it, and she is deadly from 3.
That right corner is there because of the way Seattle plays defense. They flood the paint. You're open. Chelsea Gray will find you.
Shot 40% from three her rookie year. Only had 4 attempts last year. Shot it at 37% this year as Canada turns it over. And Beard banks it in. Strong response from L.A. It's a 7-0 run. And no surprise, Rebecca, as you said, taking advantage of Howard being out. And a steal inside from Agwumake. Gray navigating, taking, and hitting. A 9-0 response from the Sparks.
This is a group of Sparks players who've been in this situation a time or two.
Timeout Seattle as Dan Hughes will try and steady the ship. Chelsea Gray so dangerous with the ball in her hands, whether she's dishing or calling her own number. Well, a nice run from the Los Angeles Sparks, directly correlating with Natasha Howard going out of the game. Sydney Weiss gets lost in the corner. Then in transition, the Sparks always dangerous. Elena Beard with the kiss off the window. And Chelsea Gray as dangerous an isolation player as there is in the game. And suddenly a 9-0 run in 2 minutes and 27 seconds, or even less. Clock is not running, by the way. Now it runs. For whatever reason, the shot clock was running, but the game clock was not at the start of that possession. Nonetheless, Seattle scores and ends the 9-0 run. Buena Mosqueda Lewis into the game for Seattle as Gray gets to the elbow and buries another.
You notice while Derek Fisher went to his bench, the one player that did not come out, Chelsea Gray, and she's been quite an influence in this run.
5 points, 1 assist during this run for Gray. Langhorne from 3, hits with 3 seconds remaining in the quarter. Gray will toss, and that will end the first quarter. Fun back and forth action. A 10-0 run from Seattle, met by a 9-0 run from L.A. It's a 1-point Storm lead after 1.
The WNBA Playoffs 2019 is brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing, that's our thing. And the new toasted cheddar chalupa at Taco Bell.
Welcome back to Los Angeles, here with Seattle Storm coach Dan Hughes. And coach, with Natasha Howard on the bench with those 2 fouls, LA goes on a 9-0 run. How did you combat that, or what has to change?
Well, we took the timeout, and then I think we got a little organized. You know, Natasha's important to us, and she's working pretty hard to stay in it. So, but our depth is going to be important in this game. Mercedes
Russell has come alive. Just 4 minutes in the playoffs last year. How do you describe her impact right now?
Well, you know, ever since we got her, she's been working to get better, and it's a proven example what can happen with hard work. And you know what? You're the best in the business at doing this.
Thank you, Coach.
Coach Hughes, we agree with you.
Ryan, it is physically possible for a coach to be pleasant in an in-game interview. Thank you, Dan Hughes, for showing us that that's possible.
Guiding the way for coaches across the country.
What a block.
Maria Vadiva in with Elena Beard, Sydney Weiss, Chiney Agwumake, and Chelsea Gray. Vadiva caught on the block, 8 to shoot. Weiss had space, stepped inside, can't hit the jumper.
That's a spot that's going to be open for that shot, though. The way LA is running the pick and roll on the left side and the way that Seattle is flooding the paint.
Candace Parker, Nneka Agwumake out for LA. Howard on the bench right now for Seattle as both the team's primary stars begin the quarter on the bench.
This is an option that Seattle did not have last year. Was a big, strong center who they could just throw the ball into the paint and look to score. Brianna Stewart, much different kind of player than that.
Ellis got tripped up, and now we're going to have a jump ball. And Siobhan Ellis is trying to say, you know, come on, I got tripped there. Should have been a foul. Instead, it's going to be a jump. address a wet spot. Gives us a chance to look at our upcoming WNBA national TV games. Second game of our second round elimination games coming up next. Chicago and Las Vegas facing off shortly after this game ends. Then on Tuesday, it's the semifinals. It starts at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN2. Connecticut hosting the highest remaining seed with the WNBA draft lottery at halftime. Then Washington will face the lowest remaining seed at 8:30 p.m. Eastern, also on ESPN2. For more on these games and all playoff info, please go to WNBA.com or visit the WNBA app.
We did that promo in our last game as well. 94 words you just said, Ryan.
Oh.
What would Dumbledore say?
He would say, words are, in his not so humble opinion, our most inexhaustible source of magic.
They're certainly inexhaustible on that particular promo read.
Cervantes Zealous, the veteran, called for the foul, her first. Howard still on the bench with her 2 personals. Seattle was a +5 with Howard on the floor in the first quarter, a -4 with her off. Reese's pass, an ill-advised one, taken by Seattle. Whitcomb dangerous from 3, not that time. Here comes Gray. Stepping into a jumper, and you can just tell she has a rhythm today.
When we talk about how she's one of the best clutch players in the WNBA, well, she has the ability to do what we've seen, settle her team down just by calling her own number.
Chiney Ogwumike called for the foul. Let's check in with Holly.
For the Los Angeles Sparks, you see Raquana Williams has been on the bench for an extended period. She's been one of their most dynamic scorers recently, but she is getting worked on the right shoulder and neck area, just constantly pushing on that right kind of collarbone where it goes into your shoulder. She has been out for an extended stretch here. That's got to be a concern for the Sparks.
Yeah, we'll see. They need her in the backcourt and her impact.
They've been working on that since she came out 5 minutes into the game.
Zealous swooping to the rim. Just couldn't finish the layup. Parker back in for Los Angeles. Howard back in for Seattle. Canada getting ready to come back in for the Storm. The finish from Chiney on the delivery from Chelsea Gray. And a foul against Los Angeles.
Chiney Ogwumike does a terrific job of cutting to the basket, and that's the beauty of playing with Chelsea Gray. If you're open even for a split second, we saw something similar with Chicago and Courtney Vandersloot. If you're open for a split second, you know you're going to get the ball.
Second foul on Chiney. 4 to shoot. Howard's going to have to heave it up, and the shot clock expires as Seattle turns it over. You know, Rebecca, we see that chemistry between Gray and Chiney Ogwumike, and it takes me back to the day that Chelsea Gray was traded to L.A. Chiney was with us at the draft, working with us, and a teammate of Chelsea's in Connecticut. And at that point, Chelsea hadn't made an imprint on the WNBA at all. She said to us, ooh, this is going to be a terrific player. I'm telling you, Chelsea Gray is going to be an impact WNBA player. And boy, has that come to fruition. Meanwhile, Connecticut also happy with that trade. They drafted Jonquel Jones, one of those trades that works for both teams.
Jewel Lloyd's first shot of the game.
And L.A. trying to build a little separation right now. Gray, a bomb, is good. It's an 8-point cushion for Los Angeles. And Chelsea Gray now in double figures. Timeout, Seattle.
LA on a 9-0 run. A big part of that has been Chelsea Gray, the floor leader. She's passing, she's shooting, she's scoring, she's smiling. Not yet.
The WNBA Playoffs 2019 is brought to you by BMW, the ultimate driving machine.
Back in Los Angeles, where Chelsea Gray has helped Los Angeles get a nice lead. She has been looking for her own shot here in this second quarter. And we know Chelsea Gray, one of the best passers in the WNBA. We know her as one of the best closers in the WNBA. And she is just showing it all here so far in this game. Mid-range, three-point shot, doesn't matter.
10 points, 4 assists for Chelsea Gray. For more on her and her connection with her head coach, Derek Fisher, let's head to Holly.
Well, Chelsea Gray told me that she has really loved this connection. Point guard to point guard. Her coach was one of the best to do it in the NBA, and he has taught her so many little subtle details. He said, when they've been watching film together, 2 of the things that he's asked her to do better, 1, wait that extra second for the teammate to be open, showing a little patience. He said in that next frame on film, you would see the teammate be open for the pass, and we've seen that patience from her. He said, number 2, she's in charge. He wants her teammates to follow her voice on the floor, take ownership. He said, quit looking to the bench to me. This is your team. And I love that he, as a point guard, has empowered his point guard to run this show.
That's outstanding insight, Holly, and you could see that Chelsea Gray has taken that confidence and run with it, calling her own number in this first half several times, as Parker does the same there for her 3rd bucket of the game. 6 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists for Candace Parker. Russell pivoting right into Beard. How savvy. Elena Beard, one of the greatest defenders in the history of this league, was waiting for the spin and pounced on it.
She's made a real difference defensively here since coming in for Los Angeles. She spent some time on Jordan, Canada, and has given her some difficulty there. You saw her bring the help. I mean, we've watched Elena Beard for a lot of years be the most disruptive force on the floor on the defensive end.
In her 14th year out of Duke, a 2-time Defensive Player of the Year, won it in 17 and 18. It's Natasha Howard who took it away this year. As Beard wins the tip over Russell, but then Parker loses it from behind. Canada tried to finish inside and left it short. And you can see Seattle getting a little frustrated now as Alicia Clark, I think rightly thought there was a travel on Gray, didn't get the call. LA has hit its last 5 shots. Agumake off on a 3. Foul called on Parker. Let's take a listen into Derek Fisher's last huddle.
Working on the defensive end. Yeah, activity, physicality. We've gotten a couple fouls, but it's the aggressiveness and the activity though that we need. All right, we're gonna get some fouls. We're competing hard. All right, just try not to, especially in the late clock, when they go up to shoot and you've done a good job for 23 seconds. Arms straight up, make a tough one. Okay.
Well, the defense certainly has been tremendous in this second quarter from LA, but the fouls also are starting to pile up. That is the 5th team foul against LA, so that's going to put Seattle at the line as they are now in the bonus. But Derek Fisher's team on a 22-7 run since the 2:41 mark of the first quarter.
And you don't want the fouls, but you love the effort and the activity level on that defensive end.
For the latest on all things WNBA playoffs, including scores, news, and highlights, get the WNBA app. Download for free today from your app store. Now, if Seattle were to win this game, they would go on to play Washington in the semifinals. The Mystics, the number 1 seed after a historically great regular season. If LA wins, they would go on to face the Connecticut Sun, who also had an outstanding regular season. Connecticut's the 2 seed. As Agumake had it knocked out of bounds. It looked like it last hit Agumake's leg, but they're going to say it's off Russell and keep it right here.
Championship teams, really good teams, have a variety of ways in which they can hurt you. And last time these teams played, it was all about points in the paint for Los Angeles. As you see, Gray hit a 3. Well, so Seattle made an adjustment, and they've been taking away the paint So LA says, all right, we'll just hit from the outside instead.
It's like Gray knew where you were going with your points.
I think so.
Parker on the steal. Williams back into the game. Ruffin Pratt, a little too strong. Canada nearly slipped after the board. 9-point LA lead. This single elimination second round game, first of a doubleheader today on ESPN2. It's Vegas and Chicago next as Lloyd misfires. Parker looking to take Russell. Spins into the lane and just misses the baby hook. And a foul away from the ball against LA is going to put Seattle back at the line. That's where the Storm almost have to be this quarter. They're just 1 of 8 from the floor and have 4 turnovers.
In their first round game against Minnesota, Jewel Lloyd had 22 points. Right now she's 1 for 3. She is a player who is going to need to step up and have a big game for Seattle for them to really compete in this one, because LA's backcourt is playing really well, shooting the ball really well.
Those free throws, the first points of the game for Alicia Clark, who averaged just under 10 points per game this season. LA has played well with Weiss on the floor. Parker, nice delivery, and Nneka Ogwumike finishes.
That slice into the paint by Nneka Ogwumike is so difficult to defend. She gets a step in front of Howard, and you know that Candace Parker will deliver that.
First field goal of the game. It's for the former MVP, Nneka Ogwumike. Canada bunny hops in, can't finish. Parker the board, LA with numbers. Weiss finds Williams off on a bomb, and Russell the rebound. I mean, you could just see Ruffin Pratt, very physical defender. It's going to be her second personal, and it'll send Seattle back to the line.
Nneka Ogwumike, one of the best defenders in the W, but when she gets in the paint, she can score. Coming alive here.
Well, a couple backcourt players in the studio with Jasmine Thomas and Katie Douglas, and the backcourt story here has been all Sparks, which is much different than what we saw in round 1 with Jordan Canada and Jewel Lloyd dominating that matchup against Minnesota.
Oh, I'm just going to go back to that little halftime pop. I mean, Brickley, you think people want to listen to you, or do you think they want to listen to Jasmine Thomas? A little less from Brickley, a little more from Jasmine Thomas.
No, what are you doing to Brick? Just in case the audience is uncomfortable right now, Rebecca and Brick have a very positive
we work
friendship
together. We have a good working relationship.
Well, Canada and Lloyd combined for 48 points in that round 1 win in a game in which Odyssey Sims and Danielle Robinson were held to just 2 combined points, and that was a matchup dominated by the backcourt of Seattle. As you can see, it's been different with the contributions, especially from Chelsea Gray with LA today.
Yeah, and you have to give some of the credit to that, to LA's defense. A lot of the credit to LA's defense. Sierra Ruffin Pratt, Elena Beard, both doing a good job on that end of the floor.
Ruffin Pratt misfires, and a whistle inside. It'll stay here. By the way, I actually doubled up the number. 1 point combined between Sims and Robinson for Minnesota in that game. As Natasha Howard is called for that foul, and that is going to be number 3, as it looked like it was just a jump ball scrum, and Howard gets saddled with a critical foul.
We'll get a chance to see this again, and
giving her a little bit of a shove.
Their arms were tangled a bit. I have a tough time with that one.
Ruffin Pratt. Then it's a 3.
That being said, Nneka Ogwumike is going to get fouls called on whoever's with her battling for boards because she is relentless going after it.
Seattle just 1 of 9 in this second quarter as Lloyd, it's a much-needed 3. And as bad as this second quarter has looked for the Storm, they're down just 4. Gray, not that time. Ruffin Pratt looking to chase it down and does.
Again, Nneka is the one who kept that alive. She is all over the offensive glass all the time.
Nneka Ogwumike buries the jumper and Parker's hurt. Candace Parker is limping back on defense. Something in the leg, but you can see Parker grimacing. And Chiney Ogwumike is going to quickly head to the scorer's table.
One of her teammates should take a foul so she can get out of the game.
Even put Seattle on the line. You still would?
For Candace Parker, yeah.
Shot clock down to 1, and Langhorne buries the jumper, and Derek Fisher is signaling something to the officials. Meanwhile, Parker is still laboring.
The officials aren't going to do anything. Now that LA has the ball, it's up to them if they want to call the timeout.
Gray looked like maybe she got hit, no call, kept alive by Ruffin Pratt. And Gray connects on another 3, her third of the afternoon, 16 first half points for Chelsea Gray. Parker staying in there. Canada will fire. No. And LA can hold for 1. Gray pushing quickly. Parker gives it back. Gray will fire. Shot that too early. And a foul underneath against Seattle on the loose ball as Nneka Ogwumike was again wreaking havoc. And Dan Hughes mystified at some of these loose ball calls.
I agree with that when watching it live. I mean, Mercedes Russell looked like she was holding Nneka Ogwumike. That was the right call. Yeah, I was saying that LA should take a foul. They know Candace better than I do. They knew she was going to be just fine and able to stay in the game.
LA will take a timeout, try and run something. With 5.6 to go in the second, and the Sparks leading by 7.
Want to go 23?
After Sunday Night Baseball of SportsCenter with Kevin Connors and Michael Eaves, they'll break down the impact Antonio Brown had in his game against the Dolphins, plus how Drew Brees and the Saints responded in the NFC Championship rematch with the Rams, and the Raiders-Chiefs turning point for Patrick Mahomes. SportsCenter after Dodgers-Mets on ESPN and the ESPN app. Final possession of this first half. Parker's jumper is off. Rebound goes off of Seattle out of bounds, but that will do it for the first half as the Sparks will take a 7-point lead into halftime. They outscore Seattle 21-13 in the second quarter of this winner-take-all second-round matchup. And what a half for Chelsea Gray, who's with Holly Rowe.
Well, Chelsea, it seemed like Seattle was really doubling down in the paint because you hurt them so badly there in the last game. But you read that. How have you been able to hurt them from the perimeter?
You know, keep moving. When I see 2 on me, kick it out. We were able to get some good shots and some good looks down there. So we got to keep that same fight in the second half.
Alicia Clark is in your space. She is really defending you well. How are you overcoming that?
Just taking what the defense gives me, making reads whenever I can and trying to push the pace and get my other teammates involved.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Holly.
Well, 16 points, 4 assists, 3 rebounds for Chelsea Gray. Our halftime score, LA 43, Seattle 36. We'll send you back to John Brickley, Katie Douglas, and Jasmine Thomas in the studio for the halftime report presented by State Farm. That's right after these messages. We're getting ready to start the third quarter after an impressive opening half from the Los Angeles Sparks. Hey, everybody, Ryan Ruocco alongside the Hall of Famer Rebecca Lobo. Chelsea Gray is the engine that drives the backcourt of the Los Angeles Sparks. And a lot of times we spend more time on their front court stars, Nneka Ogwumike and Candace Parker, but it was all Chelsea in that first half.
So good. And she started the game by setting the table, dishing to her teammates, getting them involved. And we know that she's one of the best in the WNBA at doing that. Second in the league in assists per game this year. Finds the open player again. And then, especially when Seattle made a bit of a run, answers offensively. She was great from downtown. The mid-range was working as well. She's just a winner. Chelsea Gray is a winner, and we've seen it late game many times, but throughout the course of this game so far, she's been terrific.
And for Seattle, Jordan Canada and Jewel Lloyd just incredible in their round one win against Minnesota. They have been muted a bit so far today against Los Angeles. Gray with 16 points to the 11 combined between Lloyd and Canada. And that's just a silly foul from Ruffin Pratt. That's going to give Seattle a free throw to open the third quarter, plus retain possession of the basketball. When you foul before the ball is inbounded, Seattle gets to choose who they want to shoot the free throw.
Tierra Ruffin-Pratt just trying to prevent the basketball from coming in, but you saw her get her arm caught over the top of Jordan Canada.
It's going to be the third foul on Ruffin-Pratt as Lloyd sinks the free throw. A 6-point LA lead. Big screen from Ruffin-Pratt. You see Ruffin-Pratt is an aggressive, handsy defender who followed Canada all the way into the block, and then a stare, and maybe a word or two afterwards.
That was a bit of a flex.
That's going to be a foul against Mercedes Russell as Nneka Ogwumike established strong position.
A flex on a block and a flex afterwards. It's her length. And it's here for Pratt spends a second. Okay. Of course, she played in the finals a year ago as a member of the Washington Mystics.
Cleaned up. Ogwumike is fouled. And Nneka Ogwumike will shoot two. Let's check in with Holly for an update on Candace Parker.
Well, as you saw, Candace Parker was limping for part of that late second half. I talked to the athletic trainer, Courtney Watson, and, Candace has had this left ankle that kept her out for almost 3 weeks of the season, just a slight sprain of that left ankle. It looks like underneath her tights, she's added a little bit more under that to give her some support there. So hopefully Candace Parker can power through that. But that is a concern moving forward if that bothers her going into the next round if they win tonight.
Well, and you know what it reminds me of, Holly? It's something that you pointed out a lot, Rebecca, throughout the years in the playoffs. When Candace has a little more rest, how much more effective she is than just one day between games in the playoffs.
We like to say when she's looking spry, she's as good as anybody.
Yeah, when she's spry, as dominant a force as there is in this league.
Are you feeling spry today?
Yeah, you?
I am.
Very much so.
Early start. I like it. So what do you see here defensively by Seattle? They trap Chelsea Gray on the on-ball screen. She's got the size and the vision and the ability to pass out of it, end up with a wide-open three on the other side.
LA now 7 of 17 from deep. Canada not really a threat from three. Lloyd is and hits. And if Seattle is going to hang around, they need more of that from Jewel Lloyd. Up to 9 points now for Lloyd. Parker sees the look inside to Nneka. And finds her for two.
There's been an answer. LA has had an answer offensively for whatever defensive scheme Seattle's thrown at them. And it's changed throughout the course of the game.
Howard's first bucket since the first quarter. She had 12 early, left with a couple fouls, and had not scored 6. That's going to be an offensive foul. Raquana Williams pushing off, and LA turns it over.
Raquana Williams has so much strength and goes inside. You thought she pushed off there? Was it on Canada before that?
I think it was initially on Canada, yeah.
Okay.
I don't think it was on Lloyd. I think it was to separate from Canada. And that's number 3 on Williams. So 3 on Williams, 3 on Ruffin Pratt. Canada's jumper rims in. And Seattle continues to hang around. It's a 4-point game. Storm without Brianna Stewart, without Sue Bird. They haven't had them all season. The defending champs still have found their way into this single elimination second-round game. Nneka Ogwumike can't bank it in. And an opportunity here for Seattle. Nice hands by Williams, and then a jump ball. And a technical foul assessed against Raquana Williams as she tossed Lloyd aside at the end of the locked-up ball.
I really need to see this again because it looked to me like Raquana Williams was just the stronger party, and when she ripped the ball away, right here. So they both have their hands on the basketball. Oh, no. Yep, that's the right call. She took her offhand that was not on the basketball to throw Jewel aside. That is absolutely the right call. Right there.
Clearly a technical foul, and Clark hits the free throw.
Yeah, it was the offhand that was not on the basketball that was the offender.
Williams has played well for Los Angeles this season. Did miss 10 games, was suspended for a domestic violence incident. After she came back, entered the starting lineup. And the Sparks 11-3 with her starting. It's been a tricky aspect of things for Derek Fisher all season. Just trying to piece everybody together. And then, once having the full roster, figuring out who stays, who goes where, what's the fit. Howard to the right hand, gets the roll, and the Seattle Storm have made it a 1-point game. Timeout, Los Angeles. A 7-0 run for the Storm. Natasha Howard, the league's Defensive Player of the Year. Oh, she can do it on this end, too.
The WNBA Playoffs 2019 is brought to you by Office Depot Office Max.
Beginning of the year, I kind of challenged her, just saying that, like, you know, I need you to be a big presence inside. And that was just kind of like a little side conversation she and I had. And so to see her take that challenge on and just thrive in it, you know, she's super athletic. She's very instinctive. And so just watching her, you know, sometimes I'm like, if I get beat, I'm like, Tasha's in there? Okay. Like, it's okay. Go ahead. Go inside.
Well, Alicia Clark has really stepped up in the absence of Sue Bird as the voice on this team. She has been the leader that has communicated what has to happen when, defensively, offensively. What's important about that, guys, is even just as long as 3 years ago, she didn't feel like she belonged in this league. She would come to Seattle, not unpack her suitcase because she was afraid she would get cut. After being a big part of that championship team last year, she said, I finally feel like I belong in the WNBA. And fast forward this season, finally naming to the second team all-defensive team her first all-league award of her career. Alicia Clark has stepped into that leadership role, and yes, she does belong on this Seattle Storm team.
Yeah, it's incredible to hear her talk about the way she guided Natasha Howard. Hey, I need this from you. That shows you how comfortable she's gotten it. pretty amazing journey for both Howard and Clark, getting to the place they've gotten now with this Storm team compared to where they were earlier in their careers. As Ruffin Pratt doesn't get the roll, and a foul inside against Seattle, as once again Nneka Ogwumike was working hard on the glass to wreak havoc, and they'll call that foul on Lloyd.
Yeah, on the right side, you saw Jewel Lloyd trying to box out Nneka Ogwumike. We talked about it in the first half. Probably a few times a game, Nneka Ogwumike gets fouls called on the opponent because she's so relentless in her attack of the offensive glass.
Gray's defender falls. Her three is good. Alicia Clark very upset there wasn't an illegal screen call as she got chucked to the floor, and it freed up Gray. She has 19 now. 4-3 of the game for Chelsea Gray. And a 5-0 response from L.A. as Howard can't connect. Parker the rebound, her 8th. Williams 2-on-1, and she didn't get it over to Ruffin Pratt. That is a poor decision from Raquana Williams. First not to pass it, and then to take a contested long two.
Yeah, it's a force.
Canada scoops it in on the other end.
Bad shots are like turnovers in that regard, Ryan. It lets your opponent go the other way quickly.
Four-point game. Ogwumike loses it, trying to gather, and does for 2.
Smart for her to attack Natasha Howard, who we know is in foul trouble and can't quite play the same defense or as aggressively as she would want to.
Natasha Howard gets met by Parker. Russell able to push it in. Seattle won't go away. A tightly played, single elimination, second round game. If LA wins, they'll go on to face Connecticut in the semis. Seattle wins, they will face Washington. Parker, an open look from 3. Around and off. Look at Nneka Ogwumike. Just a terror on the glass as she turns it over after.
I mean, she's just absolutely relentless with her activity and her pursuit and just going after things. And she gets you extra possessions as a result. She gets foul on her opponents. It's just hustle all of the time.
Nneka Ogwumike, 9th in the league in scoring, 4th in rebounding, 5th in steals, 9th in field goal percentage this season. Once again, first team all defense. 4th straight year she's earned that honor. A 6-time All-Star and a former MVP. As Howard buries the 3. And it's a 1-point game again.
Really well run, pick and roll, getting the defense to shift and have Howard come over to the top.
19 for Natasha Howard. Ruffin Pratt fading away. No. And Seattle a chance to take the lead. Canada Euro-stepping, can't quite finish. Now LA a chance in transition. Parker finds Weiss. She's dangerous. Can't hit. Another offensive rebound, and then Gray finds Parker for 2.
The back and forth of this game has been outstanding.
Tremendous playoff contest here between the defending champion Storm and the hopeful Sparks. Clark lost it out of bounds. Last hit her. Tuesday, it's the semifinals starting at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN2. Connecticut hosts the highest remaining seed with the WNBA draft lottery at halftime. And then Washington will face the lowest remaining seed at 8:30 Eastern, also on ESPN2. For more on these games and all playoff info, please go to WNBA.com or visit the WNBA app. Best time of year. Just outstanding playoffs we've had over the last few years since the new format. As Gray buries the jumper. 21 for Chelsea Gray.
All night. Chelsea Gray has had an answer for the runs all night.
Nice little pizza pie from Jewell Loyd inside. Gray can't quite find Janae. And then Parker will take the foul to slow the transition opportunity. LA had one to give.
Chelsea Gray knows when to call her own number. Great job snaking the screen, getting inside, little teardrop.
21 points, 6 assists, 8 of 16 shooting, 4 of 6 from 3 for Chelsea Gray. Meanwhile, for Seattle, Jewell Loyd has found her scoring touch up to 11 points, 10.7 assists for Jordan Canada, and Natasha Howard with 19 as Loyd gets a breather. Inside of 90 seconds remaining in the third. Will take. Missed that one. Russell the offensive rebound. In the corner, Mosqueda Lewis can't hit. Scraped up by Howard. She can't lay it in. Another chance for Howard. How about this possession for Seattle? But no bucket at the end of that labor from the Storm. And Parker gets fouled on the other end.
LA worked and worked on that last defensive possession because Seattle makes you run around screens, through screens. They finally got possession of the basketball going the other way. I mean, both of these teams are laying it on the line.
Fourth foul on Russell. Parker now with 9 points, 10 rebounds, 5 assists. That's her first free throw of the game. LA 6 of 6 as a team. Seattle is 10 of 11 from the line.
A little bit of everything right there. That's what we've come to expect from Candace Parker. Actually, we've come to expect a lot of bit of everything. And she'll probably get there before the game is done.
It's the second. Rebound Howard for ninth. Howard finds Langhorne, an open look from 3, rolls off. Williams soars in for the rebound. 2-for-1 opportunity for LA, and Parker trying to make her teammates aware and have them rush up a bit. Parker through the lane, lays it in. Los Angeles lead back up to 6. Just a .9 differential game in shot clock, so Seattle can essentially hold for 1. Canada through the left side of the lane, missed it, and gives LA time. Here's Williams. Williams gets it off and puts it in from 3. A sparkling finish to the third for LA, and the lead is up to 9.
Raquana Williams comes down, not much time, but this is her house, and they have not lost here much this year.
Welcome back to Los Angeles here with head coach Derek Fisher of the Sparks. And coach, I was going to ask, how do you gain more separation? And then your team just went on a little spurt there. What do you want them to do more of here in the fourth?
Just keep playing. You know, we haven't played in a week. We're a little rusty. Our conditioning isn't quite there. But they're continuing to play. These are the defending champions. They're not going to quit, so we're going to have to take this game.
You've been in big moments like this in your career, win-or-go-home scenario. What do you like about Chelsea Gray and how she's handling your team right now?
She's just trying to stay engaged in every possession, one at a time. And that's what leadership is really about. Whether she likes it or doesn't, she's just remaining consistent. And that's what we need from her every night.
Thank you so much.
Well, that's what Derek Fisher has gotten from Chelsea Gray. 21 points, 6 assists, 3 rebounds. Let's just also state the obvious. That is a terrific outfit Derek Fisher's wearing.
And another pleasant interview.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're 2 for 2 in this game.
Derek Fisher in his first year with the Los Angeles Sparks, and has performed to rave reviews from his players. They have felt completely connected to him, and he navigated the injuries very well throughout the regular season to get Los Angeles in position to be the 3 seed and host this second round single elimination game. Raquana Williams storms in for 2, and LA has its largest lead. It's up to 11. An 8-0 run going back to the end of that third, and it happened in a hurry. LA outscored Seattle 6-0 the final 52 seconds. And now the first bucket of the fourth.
Yeah, just poised by LA on both ends of the floor, getting the stops, coming down, getting the ball right people's hands. What a pass.
Incredible look from Parker. Williams just couldn't finish it. Clark, nice touch pass, and Russell the strong finish. Well, you think about what Seattle could look like next year with Sue Bird and Brianna Stewart back healthy, and then the way that Mercedes Russell has developed to go with Howard and Clark and Canada, who've all gotten better, and Lloyd. It could be a loaded team.
Yes.
Howard thought about the 3, will drive it in and get denied, but a foul.
Even talking to Dan Hughes before the game about what his expectations were for this team coming into the season. And they certainly met my expectations, the positive side for what I had hoped for.
And he said he could tell the first week that they were going to be a resilient group. And for the latest on all things WNBA playoffs, including scores, news, and highlights, get the WNBA app. Download for free today from your app store. Said right before he went in for his cancer treatment at the beginning of the season, even when they knew Brianna Stewart was out, said that first week working with them, he said, ooh, like you could just sense the resilience from the group. And he said that's why they're here. They've never let losing streaks linger. They've always bounced back quickly. And even in this game, if you would have looked on paper, you could have easily said, you know, the LA Sparks, who were 15-2 at home this year, loaded with talent, should wipe the floor with Seattle. No, Dan Hughes' team has been neck and neck with LA throughout this second round contest.
Yeah, resilient this season, resilient this game, continuing to work really hard and stay attached.
Williams lays it up too strong. Chiney puts it in. Chiney Agwumaike, who has had to adjust to life coming off the bench now that LA is healthy again. Coming up with some big activity in this game. Good hands by Beard. Clark being harassed. Eventually throws it away. Weiss, the no look. Chiney blocked. What a rejection from Natasha Howard. Lloyd leaner, short. Rebound into the arms of Canada. Russell's jumper, no.
Important minutes for Chelsea Gray to rest on the bench. Same with Candace Parker, because these players coming in off the bench for LA have been very good all night.
Nice cut by Weiss. Pass was just a little too far out in front. Nneka, cross her body, no. Here comes Lloyd, eyes up to Canada. Shot clock down to 6. Lloyd's pass denied, and Weiss comes over the steal, flings it perfectly to Nneka, and she muscles her way into a foul.
And come playoff time, you're going to amp it up on the defensive end. Elena Beard and all of her Sparks teammates getting after it on one end of the floor. And then on the other end, Natasha Howard, the Defensive Player of the Year. What a block.
Ogwumike, 12 points, 4 of 4 from the line. And misfires on the first. Chelsea Gray go to perhaps check back in as timeout is taken. 6:56 to go in the fourth. LA by 10.
The WNBA Playoffs 2019 is brought to you by AT&T. More for your thing. That's our thing. And the new toasted cheddar chalupa at Taco Bell.
With Chelsea Gray having an outstanding second-round game against Seattle, and her decision-making has been outstanding this whole game.
Well, what do you want from your point guard? To be a great decision-maker and then also be a bucket getter. She gets double-teamed, passes out of it, leads to a three for a teammate. Then when she gets screened, snakes the screen, gets around, finds a spot of the floor where she can flourish. I mean, she's just been thinking and playing at a different level here today.
I think that guy would be happy with that sort of distribution and decision-making.
I think so.
Speaking of incredible point guards, Magic Johnson in the building, watching his Sparks build an 11-point lead. 6:45 to go in the fourth. Now, every time it seemed like LA was going to run away, Seattle's had a run in them. Do they here?
And just good defense by the LA Sparks. Seattle trying to get a shot for Jewel Lloyd, running her off a couple screens. Simply not open.
The battle in the paint is 30-30. A far cry from the last meeting between these teams. But LA a +9 from 3. 9 makes to Seattle 6. Weiss got that one.
What a story Sydney Weiss has been this season for LA and how she has improved from a year ago. Give us the numbers, Ryan.
Last year did not score. Played in just 11 games. An average of just over 3 minutes. This year, averaged over 20 minutes a game. Shot 37% from deep. And has been a real big contributor.
Just smart to relocate on the offensive board, know that you have a chance to be open while the defense is shifting, and 16 starts this season.
Steph Curry-esque relocation there.
There you go.
LA has firmly gripped control of this game with their flurry right at the end of the third, and now a strong start to the fourth. Weiss, another look. Another miss. And Chelsea Gray was fired up after that bucket from Weiss. The lead is swelled to 17. Howard, no. Rebound, Nneka.
That last play, similar to the one we saw in the replay. She snaked the screen, but was met by the defender. Doesn't end there. She will find her open teammate.
Gray goes cross court. Nneka's jumper is pure. It's an 11-0 Los Angeles run as they can start tasting the semifinals. And Elena Beer draws the offensive foul on Mercedes Russell. That'll be number 5 on Russell.
Sydney Weiss can hit threes, and we saw her hit one from the right corner. Chelsea Gray knows she just hit one from the right corner. Now from the left side is a player who spent much of last season on the bench cheering like crazy. Even in these games when she's not in, she's over on the sideline giving her teammates energy. And here in the second half in particular, been so good for LA.
An 11-0 run since the 8:20 mark of the fourth quarter. Nneka separating. Elbow jumper is good. It's a 13-0 sprint from the Los Angeles Sparks. A reminder The Vegas Aces taking on the Chicago Sky following the conclusion of this game as Whitcomb ends the run.
I'm looking forward to watching that game. That one's going to be a good one. Not a lot of love lost between those two teams.
No. Gray flips it up. 5 to shoot. Gray can't hit. Chiney Ogwumike active inside and a jump ball. Let's take a look at our upcoming WNBA national TV games. The second game of our second round elimination games coming up next. Chicago and Las Vegas facing off shortly after this game ends. Then on Tuesday, it's the semifinals. It starts at 6:30 Eastern on ESPN2. Connecticut hosting the highest remaining seed. If this lead holds for LA, that would be the Sparks with the WNBA draft lottery at halftime. And then Washington will face the lowest remaining seed at 8:30 Eastern. Also on ESPN2, if this lead holds, that would be the winner of Chicago and Vegas. For more on these games and all playoff info, please go to WNBA.com or visit the WNBA app. That last hit Howard. It's going to stay with LA. Oh, they're going to call it a jump again. Sydney Weiss is saying, wait, that hit Howard. I think she's right. But nonetheless, they're going to jump it up again as the officials didn't have a good angle to see who it hit off the deflection. .18 LA lead. Howard ends up with it. Seattle needs a furious run, and they need it in a hurry. They're not going to get it on this possession. 16th turnover for Seattle compared to Los Angeles' 8th. Maria Vadeeva has been quiet in this game. She's a player Derek Fisher very much likes. Beard couldn't finish. Chiney can.
Chiney, like her sister, has been all over the offensive glass.
Corner 3 off for Mosqueda Lewis. A 20-point Seattle lead with 3 minutes to go in the fourth of this single elimination second round game. It'll be a quick turnaround to Connecticut for the Sparks. Whitcomb pull up 3. No. And Weiss the rebound. Timeout taken by LA. 2:41 to go. Sparks are feeling.
John Brickley in the studio. Still to come, the Sky and the Las Vegas Aces. Game number 2 of our ESPN2 doubleheader. Diamond DeShields off her playoff debut. Career-high 25 points versus Phoenix. That's coming your way inside 15 minutes. Ryan, back to you.
All right, Brick, we look forward to that game. Meanwhile, the Sparks are just 2:41 away from defeating the Storm and heading to face Connecticut, a team who LA was 2-1 against this season, but the home team won all 3 games. And Holly Rowe, the Sparks are going to have a quicker means of travel to get to Uncasville, Connecticut.
That's right. This is just an absolutely wonderful thing that the WNBA is doing. Because of the quick turnaround between games, they are chartering flights for the players. This has long been a contentious issue, players feeling like the travel was difficult. So the WNBA statement, they have arranged to recover the cost for charter flights for the winner of today's game. This is really fantastic. In fact, these LA players already have their bags packed and ready to go. I noticed in the back hallway here at the Staples Center, the team managers were loading their luggage so that in the event they were able to win this game, they are ready to get on that plane and fly to Connecticut and have an entire off day tomorrow to prepare for Tuesday's semifinal matchup.
It will make a huge difference because getting from LA to Connecticut is not an easy task. Flying commercially and, you know, just for competitive reasons, what a great decision by the WNBA.
You have to like everything that you have heard and seen thus far from new WNBA Commissioner Kathy Engelberg.
She's going to make a difference in this league.
Coming on, 2 minutes remaining in this fourth quarter. Courtney Paris in as both teams have emptied their benches. It is all cosmetic at this point. The Los Angeles Sparks are going to win this single elimination second round game and head to Connecticut to face the 2-seed Sun as Brown lays it in. And the winner of the Sky and the Aces up next on ESPN2 will go on to face the top-seeded Washington Mystics in the semifinals. Sketta Lewis can't finish. Jones trying to hold off Whitcomb, who's called for the foul. Now for the Seattle Storm, they went into this year knowing repeating was going to be nearly impossible. Sue Bird with a knee injury, missed the entire season. The league's all-time leader in assists and games played, who was fantastic in the playoffs a season ago. Breanna Stewart tearing her Achilles in her final game overseas in Russia. The league MVP, the finals MVP a year ago, out for this entire year. And Seattle still found a way to not only be competitive, but to play really good basketball for much of this season and make it all the way to the second round.
I mean, to deal with those injuries and then to overcome more adversity at the beginning of the season with Dan Hughes' cancer diagnosis and surgery and missing early games, the Seattle fans and franchise have to be so proud of this team for in so many ways achieving a lot more than most thought they could coming into the season.
And getting Sue Bird and Breanna Stewart back next season to go with the growth of Howard, the growth of Lloyd, of Canada, of Clark, of Russell. Look out next year for the Seattle Storm. But here today at Staples Center, the Los Angeles Sparks use a huge second half to ensure their season will not end today. They can dribble it out now. Final 5 seconds at Staples Center. The Los Angeles Sparks are headed to the WNBA semifinals.